Welcome back to Road Painter. Now this VW Caddy was officially classed as uneconomical to repair by the insurance company. The insurance wrote it off, job done, straight to the scrap pile. Or Copart. But when you actually look at what's damaged and you know the right processes, this was absolutely repairable. So our customer took the payout, bought the vehicle back and brought it to us to repair. So in today's video, we're stripping the back end down, measuring it properly, pulling the rear panel back to where it needs to be, rebuilding it, getting it ready for paint and doing it the right way. No shortcuts, no guessing, just a real world repair that proves this Caddy was worth saving. So let's get into it. So the first step on this one, we've got Ross from Dentonator in, and he's going to use his PDR skills to rough this damage out and get the shape back to where it needs to be. It's the perfect way to start a repair like this because it saves time, reduces filler and gives us a solid base before we move on to the heavier bodywork. The metal was heavily stretched, so this wasn't a quick push and go job. Ross had to really take his time to work it back to the original shape. We've still got this side line here that needs pin pulling because it's double skinned and you simply can't get the PDR tools in behind to move it properly. We ended up around 7 hours deep to get it to this stage, but shape wise it was really starting to look a little bit more like it should. At this point we were both confident that we could see this repair through and get the panel back to more or less the original shape and keep the filler to an absolute minimum, which is critical if you want a proper high quality repair. As you look around the higher areas where the damage was, you can see that even though there is still a few ripples, the overall shape is really close to where it needs to be. At this point, a light skim of glaze and a long flat block would be enough to get it flat again. So next, we need to get the paint stripped back in the areas we need to pull, and then we'll focus on getting this arch line back to the proper OEM shape. So we've carried on with the Caddy today, and we've been using the GYS G-Spot 3902. We've also been using the Airfix drawer liner and we've made more progress. We've got the arch line back where it should be and we've got it fairly straight on the outer lip. We do need to do a little bit of tweaking on that, but first of all we need to run a line of weld down to fill the holes from pulling, but we've pretty much got it where it needs to be now. So we've welded up all the pin puller holes and ground everything back nice and smooth. Once it's painted, we'll cavity wax the back of this repair to protect it from corrosion from the inside out. That way, the weld areas are sealed properly and it won't rust back through later. This step is critical for a high quality repair that actually lasts the test of time. You can now see the shape is really coming on and that the arch line is exactly where it should be. Next, we'll skim the lower area with a light layer of Fibreglass filler and then finish it off with a thin skim of glaze and start getting the panel prepped and ready for primer. So after another solid session on the filler and glaze and plenty more hours into it, we're finally starting to see this panel come together properly. We put a light skim of glaze over the upper repair area, then blocked it back with a long block and 180 grit strips. That knocked down all the high spots and got us back to a near flat panel. After that, we hit the repair with high build primer, 3 nice coats, and this is where we ended up. After that, we went back in with a long flat block and worked the primer down again, knocking off any remaining eye spots and getting the repair as flat as we possibly could. Realistically, because this is a repair, it'll never be 100% perfect, but we can get it close. And that pretty much wraps up the repair side of things. Next up, we move on to the painting. So keep watching and let's see this one through to the finish. So in tonight's video, we're going to be painting the side of this Caddy that we've been repairing this week. So we need to get on with the tack rag it down, and then get on it with the iron star. For a clean job, the prep and cleaning before you even think about paint is absolutely critical. We've already panel wiped the whole area, and now we're going over it with a tack rag to lift any last bits of dust, lint or debris. Next is the Iron Star anti-static gun. This neutralises surface static, which is what attracts the dust and dirt particles back on to the panel you've just cleaned. It's a massive step towards getting a super clean finish. Anti-static guns aren't cheap, and after a lot of research, the Iron Star gun is the only one I'd spend the money on. It's around a £2,000 investment, but it's worth every penny. And look, nothing in bodywork guarantees a perfect job. There's no such thing, and any honest painter will tell you that. But you can take small steps at every stage and invest in the best kit you can, like heated airlines from Weld, an Iron Star anti-static gun, and top quality guns from DeVilbiss and Iwata, and it all adds up. Individually, they're small gains, but together they help you get the best results you possibly can. It might not be perfect, but you can get very close, and most people won't even notice the tiny things we obsess over. That's the difference. It's a passion, and if you don't have that, you shouldn't be painting, because it always shows in the final finish. It's now time for the first coat of base coat, so let's get into it. Now this is where I realised just how transparent this colour really is. The first coat barely covered anything at all. I was hoping for a quick in the boob job, get the van painted and get home, but it didn't work out like that. It ended up taking around 7 coats to get full coverage, and because we're using water-based paint, it takes time to dry properly between coats. That drying time is critical. You rush it and you can end up with problems and failures later down the line. You don't need to sit through every single coat, so I'll throw a quick montage of the process together and then we'll get and show you the final results. When it comes to drying the base coat, we use a Welcome fan jet, and honestly it's one of the best handheld dryers we've ever used. We've dropped a link in the description if you want to check one out, and they can even be personalised by Welcome for you if you want, if that's your thing. At the time of filming, they start around £70, which is seriously good value for how well they work.
So one thing that is concerning me after the first coat is it's very transparent. More transparent than I expected. First time I painted this colour. So it may take more coats than I originally anticipated.
Watching it back, the second coat looks like it made a huge difference on camera, but in person, not so much. It honestly felt like it had barely added any coverage at all. At that point, I was starting to think I either needed to go with a darker primer or invest in the Sickens colour build primer system to help cover the base faster and cut down on the number of coats needed. It's definitely something I'm going to revisit and buy, because on colours like this it'll make a massive difference, because the primer is actually tinted towards the colour of the base coat that you're using. So on this one it would have been a yellow base, and the colour that you can see on screen now would probably be roughly what we'll be starting with. So then obviously it wouldn't take 7 coats to get the coverage, it would probably be more like 3.
That is not what you want. Don't know where they came from, but I need to remove them.
I've since worked out what they were. I'd taken the end off the airline to fit a fresh orange protective sleeve, and I'm 99% sure it were tiny bits of PTFE tape from the threads when refitting it that had found their way through the line. So shouldn't happen again, but hopefully it's not an issue moving forward. At this point on camera it looks like we're not far off full coverage, but in person you can still clearly see the lighter primer showing through, so we know it needed a few more coats before it would be properly covered. At this point the coverage was finally starting to look a lot better, and once I dried this coat it would be time to make sure the blends were looking spot on, but the paint pot was running low. Let's see what happens. At this point I was feeling a lot more confident with coverage, so I decided it was time to get the colour match light on it and make sure we still weren't looking transparent under strong lighting, because at some point this panel's going to have headlights shining straight at it, and the last thing you want is to find out that the coverage isn't quite there when that happens.
We've done 5 or 6 coats now, and we can just about not see the line from the primer. So another decent coat, and then I'm going to leave it to dry thoroughly for 5 minutes, tack rag the whole side again, and then do some blend outs.
So with the 7th and final coat laid on smooth and fully dried, it's time to get the tack rag and tack rag all the surrounding panels to remove any overspray from the areas next to where we've based up. If you skip this step, you can end up with lighter patches and metallic particles sitting upright in those drier areas, which makes the base look patchy. That would spoil what's otherwise a great job, and it can even mean a repaint. So we tack the upper sections and anything close to where the base coat's been put, and then we get on to checking the blend is spot on. Only I had a small issue at this point. Let's see if you can guess what it was. You can see on the tack cloth here just how much base coat overspray we've lifted off. If that was left sitting on the panel, it would show up later as a halo effect around the repair area and totally ruin the job.
Now I'm not sure how far I'm going to get with these blends. I've nearly run out of paint. Hopefully I can get enough on. We didn't, it ran straight out, so I'm going to have to go and mix some more paint. So, we're going to mix another 100ml in a mini pot so we can do the blends. I put an extra little bit of reducer in this. Pressure at 22 psi. And I'm just doing a light coat around the blend area. And then some diagonal coats. That should do it.
You can see now on the camera that the line has gone. Things like that don't always show up on video, but on this one it was clear as day. Blending has worked, you can see the line's gone, everything looks beautiful. Next we'll check the coverage and the blends with a colour match light, with the bulb lights off, and if everything looks spot on, it's time for clear.
Now with the lights off, we're going to test and make sure that we've got good coverage.
And again, this step is so important, because if you clear it now and then spot a problem further down the line, you're into a full redo. But if you catch it at this stage, you can fix it before the clear goes on, which saves you a huge amount of time and money.
So we're now ready to hit it with the clear. I haven't actually painted anything for probably about 6 weeks, so I'm going to take it steady with this, we don't want any runs.
At this point I couldn't help but notice just how clean the job was. Hardly any nibs anywhere, and that's down to a few things. First off, the bulb has just had a proper deep clean. Floors have been repainted, fresh filters are in, and that always makes a big difference. Then there's a meticulous hoovering before we start spraying. It might seem small, but those incremental steps add up. But the biggest game changer lately has been the Iron Star anti-static gun. I've only had it a few months, but on every job since I bought it, I've noticed the finishes are so much cleaner. I'm already a bit of a clean freak, so my jobs are clean anyway, but this has genuinely levelled things up on the final results. I can 100% recommend the Iron Star. I researched a lot of anti-static guns before buying this one, and in my opinion it's the best. And yeah, the price reflects that, but if you're looking to improve your paint jobs, this is one piece of kit that will absolutely help, even if it costs an arm and a leg. If you've watched this far into the video, genuinely thank you, I really appreciate it. And if you've enjoyed the video, please hit the like button. This is still a new channel and we're short on a lot of things right now, including likes and subscribers. If you like this kind of real world repair and paint content, please subscribe and stick with us. It helps the channel grow, it helps us bring you more of these videos, and you can be part of the journey as we build this channel and things going forward. Honestly, without you watching, liking and subscribing, this channel is nothing. So thanks for the support, and let's see what this job looks like when it's finally finished after the second coat of clear.
So the first coat of clear's gone on lovely. I was a little bit dry in the middle, which is why I went over it and just wet it up a little bit. But the first coat's gone on lovely. I've used 350ml. We've got 450 left for the final coat. We'll be back in 5 minutes.
So on this second coat of clear, I'm going a little bit slower to lay down a bit more material and really get the flow out. The first coat is basically a grip coat, and as long as I'm as good as I think I am, we shouldn't get any runs. That said, every painter gets runs at some point, and if anyone tells you they don't, they're lying. So let's hope I get it right on this one, because it's a fine line between laying down the perfect amount of clear and ending up with runs. And I'll be honest, it's been a while since I've painted anything, so the jury's still out on this one for now.
So that's it, we've got it cleared out. Job's come out pretty good. A few little things I'm not happy with, but you get that on every job. But it's not come out too bad at all. As you can see, it's not perfectly straight, because there is a skimmer filler all down this back corner, but that has not come out too bad a job at all. I'm happy with the colour. The blend, when we looked at the colour from the camera, said it was a 12, which is not a great colour to blend. Lower the colour, the better, so a 1's perfect to blend. Or you can go edge to edge with a 1. Anything 5 and below is good. Anything 10 and below you can blend. 10 upwards you start to struggle with. This was a 12, it was the only shade available on my system, so I didn't have a choice. We've gone with it. I did adjust the colour slightly, and it seems to have worked because the blend looks absolutely spot on. You can't tell it's been blended down the panel at all. So this is another job complete. We're going to get it on bake, and we'll let the customer know that she'll be built up early next week. Got new lighting, and she'll be ready to go. Thanks for watching. If this has been interesting for you, hit the like button. Please subscribe to the channel. This is a new channel for us. We're going to try and get plenty of painting videos on there, tips and tricks on what we do paintwork wise. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.